Here we're going to look at the JSP expression language that we have available to us, and this helps us overcome some of the nasty scripting problems that we can get into. In our previous unit, we saw that we can get the request attributes using JSP, useBean, and so on. So here we see a JSP expression, not even using the useBean because that sort of falls short of getting nested attributes. So we have a person attribute that has an address that itself is an object, and we want to get the zip from that. So we don't have a way to do that with the JSP useBean and getProperty. But what we can use is EL, which is much nicer. So this is just by default going to go get the attribute named person, get the address off of them, and get the zip. So we have this dot notation. So we just navigate this object, this nested set of objects with dots. So person and dot address means use the get address method off of the person, and then dot zip is use the get zip method off of the address object. So it's fairly simple and pretty powerful. So let's look at some more expression language examples. So there's a couple special variables that we have, and we'll look at that. But for now, header is what we might assume. It's a map of the headers that we have available to us. And we have two equivalent ways of accessing collections of things. We can just say header.host, and that's going to get the host header. Or we can say header square brackets host in strings, and that's going to get the same thing. So you have two different ways of accessing this, and you might use one or the other depending on the situation. This is a little more powerful. This is a little easier to type. So here's a cute little test of, in our JSP, are we doing a get? Remember, JSPs, both the get and the post get funneled into into the same page, and typically we would be emitting the same content. We could wrap some content in a get, and we'll look at an example of that. And here we're just getting the first name parameter, as you might expect. So there's a bunch of other EL variables that we have available to us by default. Cookie, init param, page context, all of our scopes and parameters, values, headers, and so on. So here's one that we saw before, and it's wrapped inside of JSTL. And if you haven't already, you will check this out in the JSTL slides. What we're doing here is we're setting up a conditional. So we're using the JSTL CIF, a conditional to say, should we display this form? Well, we should only display this form if the method that we got here is get. If we post it here, we don't need to display the form again. So we might have a inverted condition or an else statement to say, all right, if this is the post, let's actually do the thing and show the results. If it's the get, let's just show the form, and we might do that for just one simple JSP page. Here's another JSTL example. So for each is counting through. It's setting I. It's just sort of a for loop in JSTL. So not using Java exactly, but using this Java standard JSP standard tag library to loop over a collection for us. And here we're doing something. This is a little bit strange, and you should play around with this. We're using cout to print something out, and we're using the status variable. So this is setting a variable for us called status, and we're just getting this. And you should go ahead and play around with this, and in the lab you'll see an example of this. And try to figure out what cout is doing for you that just printing out this value, this $ curly bracket, is doing on its own. And post in the discussion board if you have thoughts about that. So give that a try in the lab and post your experience with that.